is 9 o'clock, and thank you to everybody who has joined this meeting of the Standing Committee on Environment, Local Government and Development Planning. It's good to have everybody present, along with representatives from the National Department and also the NCOP who are joining us today. If I can just begin by asking all members to introduce themselves. We'll start with the members of the Member Masipa. You have your hand up.
Good morning, Chairperson and colleagues and officials. My name is Noko Masipa. I'm a member of this portfolio committee. Thank you.
Member Constable, I like the way everyone's putting up their hands. It's working nicely, so we don't have all be shouting at the same time. Member Constable.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Noel Constable, and I am a member of this committee. Thank you very much.
Vessels.
Good morning, Chairperson. I'm Derek Vessels, and I'm also a member of this committee. Thank you.
Member Murray.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. My name is Grant Murray, and I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Member Stoffel.
Good morning, Chairperson. Beauty Stoffels. I'm a member of the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks so much. I did see we had the representatives, Honourable Sheffield from the NCOP. I don't see him. Is he on the meeting still? I can't pick him up. Oh, there he is. He's coming back. All right. Honourable Sheffield, can you just introduce yourself quickly?
Right, good morning. It's Igor Stierkochel. I'm permanent delegate from the Free State. I'm just standing in for this Badenhorst, which is at a convention by Minister Dean McPherson in Durban. Thank you. And I serve on the Department of Transport Committee here in the NCP with Rikus.
Thank you very much. I also see Member Johnson has his hand up.
Good morning, Chairperson, members and officials. Apologies, I just fell off during the introductions, but I am Peter Johnson. I'm a permanent member of this committee.
Thank you so much. If we can then also just ask the representatives from the National Department if they can introduce themselves and what their designation is as well.
Thank you, Chairperson and honourable members. My name is Dumsane Ntuli, and I'm the Chief Director responsible for maritime policy and legislation at the Department of Transport. Thank you.
Fantastic. Is that the only official that we have present?
Chairperson, we have also got officials present from the Department of Environmental Affairs, Development Planning, as well as from the Department of the Premier, and then WCPP's legal advisor, our colleague, Miss Kule, is also present on the platform.
Right, and they're all obviously our officials from the province, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you so much, everybody, and good to. If we can then move on just briefly to apologies. Have we received any apologies, Mr. Kutsia?
No apologies, Chair. We're a full house today.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Mr. Ntuli, I'm going to hand over to you to give us a briefing on the marine. It has been tagged in other provinces and legislatures under transport, and I know at a national level it's also tagged under transport. But for us, we have a slightly different situation with mobility being one of our committees, and then we also have infrastructure. And so it was felt that environment was the best space for this to be. So I'm going to hand over to you. I hope you are able to flight the presentation, or Mr. Pitsia will be able to flight it for you. Those presentations have also been circulated along with the bill for all members. You'll be able to find that in your pack online. So Mr. Ntuli, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. And let me just see how I can show the presentation. Unless if Mr. Putsi could, let me just see here. Okay, I think I found it. May the members kindly confirm whether they see the presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. Let me just put it in a presentation mode, or just enlarge the view. Let me just see. Is the view fit for purpose?
Yes, that is perfect.
Thank you. Thank you very much to this August committee for giving us an opportunity to present the Oil Pollution Preparedness and Response Bill. And in this presentation, then these are the issues that I'll be covering. I'll deal with the location of this bill in the broader pollution strategy of the Republic. I'll deal with the overall summary, and I'll identify key salient features of the bill. And I would also just cover the laws that the bill proposes be amended. Now, this diagram shows us the state of oil pollution strategy for the Republic. The boxes in green reflect work that has already been accomplished, and that in amber, it could be work that is awaiting the signature of the president, and or work that is progressing quite in an accelerated manner under attention. So as you would notice that the first three boxes on marine pollution, liability of oil pollution by tankers, compensation for oil pollution damage, all that we already have domesticating legislation giving effect to the provisions of the treaties from where we draw these laws. You would as well have noticed that the amendments to Marine Pollution Prevention Act, more particularly the incorporation of Annexes 4 and 6, although they have been approved, but they are still awaiting the signature of the president. Hence, it's still reflected in amber. So today we are presenting a very important enabling legislation, that of positioning the Republic in a state of preparedness to respond and or cooperate with other states in the event of a cross-boundary spillage. And this is encapsulated then in the bill that is before you, which is drawn from the Oil Pollution Preparedness Response and Cooperation Convention of 1990, to which the Republic is a party to. The other work that is on it that probably would still reach your shores, it relates to the liability for oil pollution by bunkers. That's also an international convention which we are not as yet parties to, but we are at an advanced stages of presenting that convention for accession by the Republic. So then I will then proceed to as well demonstrate the architectural pillars of the oil pollution preparedness and response regime, which is in this bill. In that you would in the bill you'll find that there's provisions for risk assessments, which are critical so that we understand the scale and the issues that we're dealing with, and then the National Oil Contingency Plan and SCP training and exercise, which is a critical element of preparedness, reporting of incidents, which helps us in terms of being well advanced and informed, and as well as the cooperation provisions. In summary, the bill provides for the processes to regulate, manage the preparedness and response to major marine oil pollution incidents at national level, as well as cooperation with other countries as necessary and or as appropriate. The cooperation itself covers the development of contingency plans, the research that is critical, training and exercise programs. As we all are aware that our country is located along the busiest sea shipping route, straddling 3 oceans, the Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and Southern Sea, stretching further down to the Antarctic region. Under normal circumstances, we experience about 12,000 vessels of varied sizes traversing our waters. But with the challenges along the Red Sea, this number is close to being doubled. And I'm sure that in this part of the country, you have experienced quite larger volumes of vessels calling in our ports for refueling purposes and or loading or offloading cargoes. South Africa then, because of this of the present and as well as increasing volumes of ships along the coast, we are then exposed to all types of dangers associated with the movement of ships. South Africa also is party to this convention, as I've indicated, like all other states parties, has undertaken to domesticate this in order to ensure that it has measures that are effective to prepare and respond to incidents. The convention itself encourages state parties to cooperate in areas like the development of contingency plans, equipment stocks, research and development initiatives, training and exercise programs, and appropriate spill notification procedures for shipping. So this list of issues are the list of issues that any domesticating venture must provide for. So this is the list that we need to check against what the bill has provided, to making sure that we have not left out any of these critical areas of the convention. South Africa does not, at the moment, as we all are aware, have in place a well-regulated mechanism of preparing and respond to incidents, and the decision to accede to the convention was then informed by the need to adopt international standards and good practices in marine pollution and preparedness and response. And as is required by Section 3314 of the Constitution, even though we are parties to the treaty, it won't have an effect unless it has been domesticated. The absence of legislation poses a great risk in the event that there is a major oil pollution incident along the South African coast. I must just pause here to indicate that this does not suggest that we don't have a mechanism of responding. What we have measures that are non-binding. And with this bill, we are instituting a well-regulated mechanism of response. The bill adopts international standards and good practices in marine pollution use and preparedness and response, and also the comprehensive maritime transport policy approved by Cabinet in 2017 provides more particular for an institutionalized arrangements for effective system of marine environment preparedness, response, and cooperation. The objects of the bill then are that of incorporating the treaty into the laws of the Republic and reduce and control the pollution of the marine environment by oil from ships, offshore installations, seaports, and oil handling facilities, provide for the safe, effective, and efficient management and deployment of resources in response to cooperation and control of spill of oil or any other pollutant from ships or any other sources within South African waters, or any of such which pollute or threaten to pollute South African waters, aquatic resources, coastal and related interests, to provide also for the effective cooperation with neighboring countries in matters pertaining to preparedness, response, and cooperation. As a schedule in the bill, we are introducing two amendments. One is to amend the South African Maritime Safety Authority Act of 1998 to provide in Section 38 of that Act the renaming of the present fund, Maritime Fund, to be called Marine Pollution Preparedness and Response Fund. The fund will be resourced from the levies imposed on seaports and oil handling facilities and offshore installations, as well as penalties, fines, and forfeiture for contravening that act. So this is in line with the dominant policy of the user pay principle. Money in the fund will only be for the purposes of furthering the objectives of prevention, preparedness, response, and combating pollution of the marine environment by ships, seaports, and oil handling facilities and offshore installation. This particular amendment is critical in ensuring that the additional functions that will be assigned to the South African Maritime Safety Authority are accompanied by the resources for SAMSA to undertake those functions. So members would observe that the ring fencing of the fund, which would now be called the OPRC fund, would indeed help SAMSA to have the tools of trade and ensuring that in the first instance, the Republic is protected and that any potential dangers are detected in advance, and using available technologies to ensuring that SAMSA has the state-of-the-art mechanism of preparedness and response. I must as well indicate here that these amendments are as well giving effect to the communication from the Department of Fisheries, Forestry, and Environment, where they've pulled out from a combating function, and that function has returned to the Department of Transport. And as a way of implementing that decision, the assignment of this function to SAMSA is the best possible way to ensuring that the Republic is well prepared to have really. We as well then in the SAMSA Act empower SAMSA therefore to have this function of preparedness and response, and as well as to acquire and maintain surveillance, monitoring, and response assets that they would use. I think that basically, in a very broad sense, we have covered all the salient features of the bill, and I would like to take back to Honourable Chair and thank you for the attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntuli, for that presentation. I think it is a good broad overview, and it certainly explains the context. So today's session is really just for members to ask some questions, to familiarise themselves with the bill, the reasons behind being undertaken, and then obviously at a later stage we will give official comment along on the more specific details. But we'll now open up for questions of clarity. Before we do that, I just want to find out, see, I think unfortunately, let me just see here on the next page. Oh yes, we do have Honourable Sheerkogel is back on. Honourable Sheerkogel, I just want to find out from your side, because I know the NCOP has been dealing with this legislation as well. Is there anything that you would like to add before we open up for questions?
Thank you, Chairperson. No, it's only the last thing is only because according to Rule 219 of the NCOP, it should now be dealt with in a manner that goes to the provincial legislator and give sufficient time to consider the bill and facilitate the involvement of this bill. So then provincial legislators will then, in accordance with what this says in Schedule 1 of the mandating process of provinces, go through it and then send back the parameters for negotiation to the Secretary Committee, and then we'll consider the bill and then take the proposed amendment. So other than that, no, the presentation was well covered, and also as it was just a brief explanation. So it's just where we are now in the NCOP moving forward. Chair.
Thanks very much, Honourable Sheerkogel. So once our inputs have been received, and we will then gauge the public interest and determine whether or not we need public hearings. One hearing in Cape Town, depending on the specific interest groups that provide comment. So if we can then just open up for questions of clarity from any members. I see I have Honourable Masipa. Honourable Masipa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I will be really guided by yourself. Sure, if the question will be relevant, but I'm going to. Oh, we had an incident of the.
Sorry, Honourable Masipa. Can you just repeat the beginning of that sentence? You just lost you at the beginning.
I don't know what's happening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It was just the beginning of that sentence, just disappeared, okay. But you can carry on.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. So what I'm saying is that you might just help me here. The question might be a little bit unrelated, and yeah, that's what I was really saying initially, because we had that incident of the animal welfare, which were obviously the livestock that was being transported to Saudi Arabia. But I know that this bill, obviously, it says provide the processes to regulate, manage the preparedness and response to major marine oil pollution incident at national, as well as cooperation with other countries as necessary and appropriate. So I think the real question is obviously these are vessels, a number of them. Would there be a consideration of also those incidents of that which has happened here in the Western Cape of livestock, the inhumane manner that some of these vessels are carrying the livestock? I know it did cause a bit of pollution in terms of really the smell that was coming out from those vessels. So I think the question for me really, Chair, to allow is that, will this bill also look at those kind of incident, the amendment, or is it just around the oil pollution only? Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honourable Masipa. Yes, I mean, it's a good question. I do think this only refers to the oil, but I will give Mr. Ntuli a chance now. Mr. Ntuli, if you can just also from my side, so you say that the DFFE has sort of given over responsibility to transport for this. In terms of when there is an oil spill or an incident, what often tends to happen is marine life is impacted, and we often have seabirds and some other marine animals that are affected by the oil, and that then requires some of the other organizations on the shore, so to speak, your SANCOB, as well as your localized environmental spheres like your municipalities and, in our case, Cape Nature, to assist as well. I just want to find out, is provision made or is there an obligation to make contact with the sort of terrestrial organizations once there's a spill? Is that included in this legislation? And then we'll see if there are any other questions after that. Mr. Ntuli.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and thank you for the questions from Mr. Noko Masipa and to you, and from you, Chairperson. Just as a way of response, yes, indeed, this particular bill restricts itself on the oil because, as I've indicated, it's drawn from the international agreement on oil pollution preparedness and response. So a ship incident may just be unpredictable because one incident may result in the development of another incident, which could, if it involves oil, then this will then be covered by this bill. Then on the question relating to the mechanism for preparedness and response, more particularly in drawing the necessary role players and NGOs in particular to be part of the mechanism. Yes, if Honourable Chair could refer to, I think, clause 11 of the bill on page 9, where the bill creates what is called the National Marine Oil Pollution Preparedness Response and Cooperation Incident Management Organization. So you would see that under sub clause 3, there is provision for representation of particular interested groups, which is the industry, oil and mining industries, fishing industry, relevant environment and non-governmental organization in other sector deemed to be necessary to be part of this body. So that mechanism, if I may just share, that it already exists in an interim manner. So you've got all these role players that would respond in an incident, in a particular incident, who are planning together and coordinating all the mechanisms of response. So yes, it doesn't mean that I think DFF is pulled out from that they would not be part of it. For some of the expertise in terms of science and knowledge would be drawn from that department, but they are part of the incident management organization that is created by the bill. So it's really the bill adopts an approach where we get all the stakeholders and expertise that whose contribution will be critical in ensuring and giving an appropriate response to an incident. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntuli. Just for a little bit more clarity on that one, if possible, I see Honourable Maria, I'll come to you right now. Just for a bit more clarity in terms of that one. So who is it that would manage that that sort of rapid response aspect? Because obviously, you know, it all depends on where along the coast the spill takes place, and that would obviously trigger local organizations in that area. You know, even just in the Western Cape, you know, in certain parts of our coast, we would have different municipalities, different organizations. It sounds like quite a complicated and tricky thing to manage. What would sort of the key, who would the sort of key individuals be that manage that from a kind of central command center? You know, if when that emergency takes place, and in terms of clause 11. And then if I can just ask Honourable Maria, I see Honourable Masipa, you've got your hand up. Is that a legacy hand?
Apologies, Chair, it's a legacy hand.
No problem. Honourable Maria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, you just touched on the question that I had in mind to ask. Thank you for that. I just also wanted to ask in terms of just clarity. It seems that it gives the impression that oil was the main focus of this particular oil pollution. I just wondered why it was not extended beyond that. Harmful substances would have been a better term that would have incorporated oil. I think if we are serious about taking care of our environment, especially our water and our harbors, we need to make sure that we have foolproof our legislation to prevent any other form of harmful substances polluting our waters. And I also just wanted to ask if perhaps just clarity in terms of preparedness. Does this particular bill also address the jurisdiction under which this particular incident will fall? South Africa, we don't have, to my knowledge, a court that specializes in the environment or environmental crime. Is there other legislation that perhaps is coupled with this, where this particular incident will fall under a certain court's jurisdiction? I just wanted clarity on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Maria. Mr. Ntuli.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Yes, Honourable Chair, in terms of your follow-up question, I also would like us to draw attention to Clause 10 of the bill, and which provides for the appointment of incident commander. So, depending on the size of an incident, the bill provides for a mechanism of the appointment of an incident commander. And the initial assessment is undertaken by the Center for Sea Watch and Response, which is under the auspices of the South African Maritime Safety Authority based here in Cape Town, who has an incident, who would have an incident commander, and then depending on the scale of the incident, then able to make a determination in terms of the incident response team that will be appropriate for the size of an incident. So yes, in terms of who would take responsibility is the incident commander. For instance, in subclause 3 of the same section 10, it provides that within 6 months of the act coming into force, the minister must appoint from within the staff of the authority, which is SAMSA, a panel of competent persons who may act as incident commanders or deputy incident commanders. So you can see that the bill adopts a command approach where there would not be red tape in terms of who should do what how the response should be coordinated, etc. But you must also, I think, appreciate the fact that in earlier sections we provide for the risk assessment. So already we would know the types and volumes that are handled by various parties that are covered by the bill, such that in their own contingency plans, they would have to provide for the stockpile of response tools that would be equal to the potential incident within the scope of the particular entity.
Today we debate
But if it is
speed of land redistribution with a focus on inclusive.
Sorry, just very quickly, Honourable Masipa. Sorry, I think your mic's just popped on. Can you just turn it off there, Honourable Masipa? Honourable Masipa. Sorry, your mic's just popped on there. Thanks very much. Sorry,
and then,
Honourable Ntuli.
Yes. Yes,
Sorry.
I think
Mr. Ntuli, you can continue. I just upgraded you to honourable there for a second. You can continue.
Okay, thank you. Then clause 10 then provides for that well-regulated and ready to respond mechanism of incident command. Because also the further details would be provided in the National Oil Spill Contingency Plan, and that will also provide the further details. The question relating to the jurisdictional issues. So all maritime matters are handled by the courts and in terms of the Admiralty Jurisdiction Regulation Act, which accords the mandate for the courts to hear and deal with maritime crimes or incidents. You would as well, which I did not cover here, matters relating to the fines that will be imposed for non-compliance. In that, there we have adopted a zero tolerance approach, where the fine for any transgressors could as well as reach about 35 million per incident. So all of that would obviously be determined by the courts. Then the question relating to which was a follow-up on why oil. What about harmful and noxious substances? I need just to say that there is another protocol which we are parties to, and it specifically deals with the harmful and noxious substances, which is not HNS protocol, which we are in the stages of incorporating that into domestic legislation. So it so happens that internationally, at IMO, they've separated these types of products to be responded to by different mechanisms, and this as well involves matters of compensation that are as well, separate from each other. We've got the oil pollution compensation fund, which South Africa is a member of, in the event of any spill that would impact in terms of the cost to respond to the damages, etc. So those are handled separately. The NHS protocol is a new one, and we are in the process of domesticating that. But it is quite clear that once we have conducted an analysis, we would be drawing from this mechanism, although HNS cargoes are also specialized. So they need a different kind of expertise to handle those cargoes because of the toxicity of many of those products under the HNS protocol. I think I'll end here, Chairperson, and just express an apology, because as I am presenting here, I'm also in a short while expected to be at the Portfolio Committee on Transport, handling the other bill, the merchant shipping bill, which will be coming your shores, hopefully, if the Portfolio Committee accomplishes its work. But I wish to thank you for the opportunity and to indicate that the Department of Transport will be available in cases where you will be conducting public hearings. We would deploy people to come and assist the committee in explaining and helping the community decide on this bill. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntuli. I think we have exhausted all the questions, and you have again some answers to those questions. So good luck for your next meeting and for the rest of your deliberations for the day. And yeah, you are excused. Thank you. Colleagues, I just want to find out if there are any other inputs, perhaps from any of the officials from Western Cape government who are present. Is there anybody who would like to raise anything in particular with regards to the bill or the legislation? Right. Well, then we can excuse the officials who are present. Thank you very much for attending. The committee will then continue with the rest of the agenda. So I'll just give the officials the opportunity to be apart from the Secretariat.
Thanks, Chair.
Right. Okay, and then obviously Mr. Sheer, Honourable Sheer Vogel, I think he's really logged off. Okay, that's great. All right. So if we can then move on to the last section of our agenda, and just in terms of the way forward now with the bill, Mr. Kutsia, in terms of the determination of public hearings and the way forward on the bill, are we required to deliberate on that now, or are we still going to wait?
Chairperson, I think if you are ready to deliberate on it, we could go that process, but I think procedurally it will be better to determine a way forward and whether we should maybe write to the coastal municipalities and district municipalities for comments. We could also utilize the social media, advertised on our social media platform for comments. If the committee wishes to do so, we could maybe use your mainstream papers, place an advert, see what the response are, and according then to that, determine whether we will conduct public hearings. And then obviously specific stakeholders we could also invite, write letters to and for comments. And then if they do indicate a willingness or to provide input, they can do it either in written format, or we could have one hybrid public hearing and then hear the comments from those people.
Yes, I mean, I think that was going to be, my next question in terms of that is, obviously we are all trying to cut costs on the one hand, the cost of traveling members around the province to undertake these public hearings. So to have one hybrid session where interested and affected parties from other parts of the province can dial in and give input virtually, I think would certainly be welcome. But like you say, let's get that feedback first. I think your suggestion is a good one. So I'm just going to take Honourable Constable first before I propose a way forward. Honourable Constable.
Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity. I just want to know who determines the process before we continue with public hearings and stuff. Who determine that process, and also who determine the program for that? So when we start, that no one stops us if we're busy doing that. Maybe if we just can get that in order before we start with a public hearing process. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honourable Constable. I'll give Mr. Kutsia an opportunity as well, but you know, it's us that determines that process as the portfolio committee. Obviously, you know, sometimes conflicts do spring up, and those are sometimes inevitable, and we end up then planning something and having to move it. But yes, it would be us that resolves that. But I will give Mr. Kutsia an opportunity. I'm just going to take Honourable Stoffel and then Honourable Masipa. Honourable Stoffel.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I think my first question has been covered by Member Constable. Then my second question is then to say that I think we have to consult when it comes to the issue of public hearings, because I've heard what officials say, Joanne is saying to say that we can maybe use some social medias and those things, but in a nutshell, that is not the view of everybody. That's why there is public hearings. So I think before we can go, let's give it a chance, and then after that we then consult and do the right thing on, so that things cannot backfire on back to us. I hope I've put it in an understandable way, Chairperson.
Yes, Honourable Stoffel, you certainly have, and I would agree with you. We definitely need to make sure that we get that consultation out, definitely not just social media. I think Mr. Kutsia's suggestion that we write to all the municipalities as well is important, and get that feedback. So, you know, if we do get a huge amount of interest, then we can say, sure, let's do more of these public hearings. But obviously, you know, if we only get a handful, then it might only require one. Honourable Masipa.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
Yeah, I must always check. Chair, I mean, I'm just going back to my point earlier with regards to the pollution that was caused by obviously the animal welfare of sheep, you know, going to Middle East. And my just thinking, Chair, is that, you know, we were found extremely wanting when that incident in particular happened. And I know that we are dealing with oil here, but I think this is something that we might have to visit at some point to just make sure that, you know, we have it covered some way or another in terms of, one, pollution, and obviously, you know, the animal welfare from, I don't know if it will be from a mobility point of view, or it will be environmental, or it will be the animal side point of view. But I just thought that this is also provide an opportunity to really kind of really be on record about this. I think it's quite important. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Honourable Masipa. Point taken. And yeah, it's certainly something that seems to fall between the cracks a little bit. Yeah. Mr. Kutsia, do you want to give any inputs there? Mr. Kutsia, are you there? Once? Nope. Seem to have lost Mr. Kutsia. Can the rest of the meeting hear me?
Sorry,
Yes.
Chairperson, I think
No problem. Sometimes
the connection here now a little bit.
Yeah. No problem. No, I just wanted to find out, Mr. Kutsia. So just a couple of points that have been raised. I mean, it was Mr. Honourable Constable in terms of who determines the way forward, and you know, I responded that it would be us as the committee. obviously in consultation with assistance from yourselves. And then Honourable Stoffel, just ensuring that when we do this consultation, we don't just do social media, but that we send out for comment widely in terms of feedback and interest. And then Honourable Masipa just raised the issue around live transport of animals and the ramifications of that. But I mean, that I think was more of a point. But just in terms of process, from your side, I mean, would you concur with my sentiments and just in terms of ensuring that we get feedback from as many Mr. Steer has dropped off. I think there might be a bit of a challenge there with the internet. I'm just going to, yeah, who's back? Mr. Kitsia, you back with us? Him just in terms of process. Yeah, Mr. Kitsia, can you hear us? All right, colleagues. Can I just check it's not my connection? Honourable Masipa, can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you, Chairperson.
Okay, all right. So I think it's just Mr. Kitsia that's struggling with the connection there. Not a problem. All right, look, in terms of the way forward, I think we've exhausted those questions. The proposal will be that we circulate this legislation and the bill to the various municipalities, that we utilize social media, and colleagues also that we put out an advert in the main newspapers. We can then gauge the interest and decide from there whether or not to have one or more public hearings, either a virtual or a hybrid or a physical. That is the proposal, colleagues. Are we in agreement? Does that capture the mood of the meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you. Mr. Gutsi, I see you've got your hand up. Are you back with us?
Chairperson?
Yes, fantastic. We can hear you.
Can the committee maybe just indicate to me in terms of the mainstream newspapers, shall we do it Die Burger, Cape August, and we normally then go with the Son in those three newspapers?
Yes, I think that's perfectly acceptable. I don't think we have to do more than one stable, so that's great. Argus, Burger, and the Son, unless there's any objections from colleagues. Fantastic. All right. So, Chair, has that been captured then in terms of the way forward?
That's fine, Chair. I'll double check with you, and I'll check also the recording.
That's great. Thank you so much, Mr. Kutsi. I appreciate that. Okay, then if we can move on to the final part of our agenda, which is just the adoption of the minutes and reports and business plan. The first, these have all been circulated, so I'm going to take them as read. The first are the minutes of the 27th of August. I wonder, Mr. Kutsia, are you able to, I know you're struggling a little bit with the signal there, are you able to flight those minutes? Mr. Kutsia, can you hear me?
Chairperson,
Okay. Colleagues, are we happy to take the minutes as read without flighting them? They have all been circulated. Are there any objections to that?
Agreed, Chair.
Okay, we've got thumbs ups. Okay, all right. So we will begin then firstly. It's the minutes of the 27th of August, the 3rd of September, the 11th of October, and the 14th of October. Can we take those as read? Can I first have a proposer for the 27th of August?
Propose that we adopt the minutes, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Masipa. Seconder?
Member Constable, second, Chair.
Thank you. Then the minutes of the 3rd of September. Can I have a proposer? Proposer for the 3rd of September's minutes.
Propose, sir.
Propose.
Proposed by Honourable Masipa, seconded by Honourable Wessels. The minutes of the 11th of October. Do we have a proposer?
Dirk Wessels will propose.
Thank you so much.
Seconding.
Seconder, Honourable Stoffel. And for the 14th of October.
Wessels will propose.
Thank you. Seconder.
I second, Mr. Chair, Grant Murray.
Thank you, Honourable Murray. And then the reports that have also been circulated for the 11th of October. The report for that. Do we have a proposer?
Dirk Wessels will propose.
So much. Seconder.
Chair,
Yes.
I
Honourable
just
Masipa.
want apologies. I just want to go back to minutes of the 14th October.
Yes.
Honourable Mare was absent.
Yes.
Therefore, he cannot be a seconder. Maybe we must get another, because I know I was also absent. I did check that he was also absent. Yet apologies on the day. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. I just want to find out, Mr. Kutsia, are you back? Are you back with us? Is your signal strengthened a little bit there?
I'm here, Chair.
Okay. Can I just ask, if possible, would you be able to flight the minutes from the 14th of October?
Let's go there, Chair.
Thank you so much.
Chair, just give me 2 seconds.
No problem.
You say it's the 11th?
No,
The 14th of October.
14th.
Yeah.
There we go, Chair.
Just have a look there quickly. So we had apologies from Honourable Masipa and Honourable Mare. So if we can then have a proposer and a seconder for the minutes of the 14th of October. So either Member Wessels, Member Johnson, or Member Stoffel. Proposer?
I'm proposing, Chair.
Member Stoffel propose.
Dirk Wessels will then second.
Member Wessels will then second. Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much. If we can then just go back again to the reports of the 11th of October. Mr. Kutsia, would you be able to flight that report from the 11th of October?
Let me just get there, Chair.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I know it's tricky at the moment with the signal and all of that. Okay, there we go. Let's look at the report. So much. We just scroll down. It's the request from the committee. Conclusion. Happy? Is there anything arising from that? Can we then have a proposer and a seconder for that report? Constable, propose. Seconder.
Derek Wessels.
Thank you very much. Then the next report, colleagues, we are getting there. Don't worry. We've got three more reports, and then the business plan, and then we are done. The 14th of October, that report, Mr. Kutsia would be able to flight that, please.
Chair, just give me 2 seconds. This one.
No problem. No problem.
When's the 14th? Here we go, Chairperson.
Fantastic. All right. We can just scroll down. Right. Last page. Right. Okay. Colleagues, can I have a proposer and a seconder?
Derek Wessels will propose.
Member Constable second.
Thank you very much. Derek Wessels propose, and Member Constable to second. And then the final of those reports is the 5th of November, 2022. That's be flighted. This is the report of the visit to Stony Point. Continue down. Thanks very much, colleagues. If there aren't any inputs, can I then have a proposer and a seconder for this report? Deepa, are you proposing?
Yes, Chair, I propose that we adopt the report. Thank you.
Thank you. And Honourable Stoffel? You're seconding?
Yes, I'm seconding too.
Thank you. Fantastic. That's great. Thank you very much. Then, colleagues, the second quarterly report, and that's flighted, please.
Second.
Well,
Chairperson, maybe just to highlight the committee's budget.
Yes.
I think each committee was allocated 186,000 rand.
Yes.
I think it's going to take a considerable knock if we start the public hearing process and the advertising, because those are quite costly. But at least we do have funds, and this is actually just to last us till the end of March. So I think we will be all right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think January, February are going to be very busy months for everyone in the Parliament anyway. So we're probably not going to have a lot of time for any other activities. But yeah, thank you. All right, we just carry on to the end.
Oh, sorry, that was the end.
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfect. That's great. Thank you. Can we have a proposer and a seconder if there aren't any questions or inputs? Have on Ray.
Mr. Chair, I just a clarity, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
In terms of the oversight visits in Beaufort next year, I just wanted to know in terms of the rules of Parliament. Does Parliament goes into recess up till when the Premier delivers his opening address, and then Parliament opens? I just wanted to know whether we are still functioning within the rules of Parliament in conducting oversight visits by the committee prior to the opening of the Western Cape Parliament.
Thanks very much, Honourable Murray. I mean, that is a good question. My understanding is that we are still a functioning Parliament up until then, and one can still conduct oversight visits. But Mr. Kutsia, can you confirm that?
That's correct, Chair. We do go into a recess. Unfortunately, I now don't have the program for next year in front of me, but I think that second week of January, recess finishes. Then members go into, I think it's a 2-week constituency period. And if there is parliamentary work that needs any committee's attention, they can then be called in. So we do functioning then within the rules. And then we conduct when the official parliamentary work starts, that will be that week before the opening of Parliament. But we are within our rules.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr.
So much.
Manus.
And then, Honourable Maria, are you happy to then propose we adopt that report?
Mr. Chair, someone else can do that.
No problem. We've got Honourable Constable.
Yeah, I propose so.
You will propose. Thank you so much. Do we have a seconder?
Derek Wessels.
Vessels, thank you very much. And then finally, our business plan for 2024-2025. If you can pull that up, because I think we should have a little look at that.
Chair, here's the business plan. These are all work that we have done. Let's get to where we are today. The 19th of November is this meeting. The 28th and the 29th of November, we will be dealing with the adjustments appropriation. That will also be 2 virtual meetings. And then we go into the recess period from 13 December to January, 10th of January. Constituency period from the 13th of January till the 24th of January. And in terms of the parliamentary program, I have provisionally blocked some meeting slots for us to deal with the marine pollution, as well as the Western Cape Monitoring and Support of Municipalities Amendment Bill, which I would discuss with you later on offline. Chair, and that would see us, then we would embark on the oversight visits to Beaufort West. which will then also include the opening of the provincial parliament and some more meetings on the pieces of legislation provided on the feedback that we get from our adverts and correspondence that we would send out.
Thank you very much.
And that would take us basically to the end of March, when we will deal with the appropriation bill.
Yeah. Colleagues, do we have any inputs on the business plan for the coming year? Yes, we've got Member Stoffel.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, am I audible?
Yes, you are, ma'am.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, yes, I appreciate our plan, but the only thing is that maybe for future, I think Mr. Kutsia should first speak with you, and then with your knowledge, bring it to the committee, because I've heard he said he will still discuss with you whilst we have to endorse it on the other side. Because if I have to ask now something, I don't think you will be able to answer, because he still have to discuss this thing with you. It's just for future purposes. I'm not sure whether I'm clear, Chair, or you understand my input or my worry within this thing. Yes, thanks, Chair.
I understand what you're saying, Member Stoffel. I think Mr. Kutsia was referring specifically to another piece of legislation that is on its way to our committee, which is the Supported Municipalities Amendment Bill. And that is only likely to be gazetted by January next year. It's going through a proofreading process at present. And that's the reason why it's still a little bit up in the air as to whether or not, we officially put it down for that. So I think that's what Mr. Kutsia was referring to. He does consult with me on a regular basis. So that is fine. Honourable Masipa, you have your hand up.
Chair, thanks, but I was just saying that Honourable she is trying something, but I think the reality is that we are engaged here as a committee, on matters that pertain to the committee. So Honourable Beauty mustn't really worry. Honourable Stoffel, apologies.
Thank you for that reassurance, Honourable Masipa. Mr. Kutsia, would you like to make any inputs?
Chairperson, yeah, no, also just to give Member Stoffel the assurance that we are providing support to the standing committee, and our direction comes from the committee as well as very specifically from the chairperson of the standing committee. And I do discuss these programs with him. I also indicated to him that the initial days that's available in January, we will set aside for legislation. That's why we've only got legislation. And rightly, like he indicated, it was the municipal monitoring and evaluation legislation that I still need to have a discussion with him. But everything that's on this program, the two of us did discuss. I promise her I will not put anything on if I haven't discussed it with the chairperson.
For that. And colleagues, that brings us to the end of our agenda. We only have resolutions outstanding. Do we have any proposed resolutions from members today? Is there anything, Member Constable?
Thank you, Chair. There, I would like to know whether we can have a report on the state of landfill sites, and also maybe recycling sites within the Western Cape, as well as a report on wastewater treatment plants within the Western Cape. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Constable. I think those are two very, very good requests and suggestions. Those will be added to the list of presentations that we look at, including for the first quarter of next year, where possible. Certainly, I think the issue of landfill sites, we must also remember that there is a national component to that. So we would need to ensure that we invite somebody from the DFFE nationally to also present. But in terms of wastewater treatment, that would be the City of Cape Town, who we would have to write to first as well. So I think to resolve that, we write to both the City of Cape Town in terms of the wastewater treatment and to the National Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment to establish whether they would be amenable to presenting to our committee. And then after that, we can then set a date and include our own officials. Are you happy with that as a way forward, Member Constable?
Chair, I'm happy with it. I'm just maybe confused with regards to wastewater treatment plants. So why do we need the City of Cape Town? Because all local municipalities is supposed to do their own wastewater treatment plants and the operations on that. And province is supposed to oversee that process. And I think this committee needs to have reports from all municipalities, a status report on that one.
Fantastic. Okay, so the proposal is that we have a report from the province, that we don't include the municipalities on that. And so, Mr. Kasia, then if we can then just put that in as a question of the department then to present on the state and condition of existing wastewater treatment plants and facilities across the province. And then we can take it from there as to whether or not we invite any of the other municipalities. Member Constable.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm covered.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Member Stoffel, you had your hand.
Yes, Chair. Chair, I just want to check with you and Mr. Kasia and the committee. There was at some stage with our resolutions, we have taken also a resolution that says there is a need for this, for a land audit report to the committee in these various municipalities. I just want to check whether
Yes,
is that relevant to these resolutions of us of today. I just want to check, or whether we can just revise this resolution.
Sure, and
to form part of
yes, and that was in terms of a report on the properties that are owned and managed by the province. Is that correct? Member Stoffel?
Yes, Chair, I understand, but there was a request specific for municipalities for the municipal land.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, yes. You didn't say at the beginning. So it's for, so your request is for municipalities to present on the land that they own and the state of the sites that they own. Is that?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Look, I mean, I think that would need to be a request because obviously we have a large number of those. So we would then obviously send that through to government for guidance in terms of that first. So that is noted, and we will also add that then to the
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I think this will probably be for the next meeting, but I would like to ask if the committee would consider that we also have on our agenda the situation in terms of the marine outfalls that has again made headlines. And I know that the national minister has made some adjustments to the restrictions But I think that we need to put that on the agenda for presentation in terms of the status of the 3 marine outfalls and whether the City of Cape Town is still within compliance, and the effect that it has on the water quality of the coastal water quality, if that is permitted by the committee.
Thank you very much, Honourable Maria. I think we could probably couch that together with the wastewater treatment discussion, because I think the two are quite closely linked. So perhaps, Mr. Kutsia, if we can then just add that as an aspect of that presentation, so we can then get that feedback from the department, and then after that evaluate who else we can then invite. So that will be part then of the response and the presentation in terms of the wastewater treatment as requested by Member Constable. Thank you, Honourable Maria, for adding to that.
Thank you.
Okay, Member Stoffel, I assume that's a legacy hand?
Yes, sorry, Chair. Sorry, sir.
No problem. Just one last point from myself, and maybe Honourable Masipa can add some input here as well. So for our international study tour that is potentially going to happen at some stage in the future, there have been a couple of suggestions that have come through. The challenge obviously for us is in terms of budgets and finance, as always. We want to make sure that we potentially cluster some of the committees together. And it's been suggested that our committee possibly cluster together with Honourable Masipa's committee that he chairs on agriculture, and do a joint visit, because we also share a number of members between the two committees. And two of the proposals that have come through the Kingdom, there are some opportunities there that go that cut across both issues that we have from a climate perspective, an ecological perspective, but also in terms of agricultural issues. And the other proposal was to potentially look at Brazil, because there is another Congress of the Parties happening at the end of next year, which is the big COP event, and there's a lot of agricultural shared issues and challenges that one also has with Brazil. Obviously, that is slightly more complicated, because one would need to gain access for the COP conference and all of that, and it is very, very expensive to try and get hotel accommodation during a COP, because everything sells out pretty fast. But those are just two suggestions that have been put on the table. I'm going to give Honourable Masipa an opportunity also just to give a little bit of input here. And then if we can come to some sort of a resolution going forward, we don't have to obviously, decide exactly where we're going today in the meeting. But at least I think if we can resolve that, we would be amenable to a cluster international oversight visit. But Honourable Masipa?
Thank you, Chairperson. So, colleagues from the UK International Study Tour. So, Ireland comes across to one that we might need, because I think honourable members have been quite clear about the local economy, stimulation. So, they, in my view and my visit to Ireland previously, some almost 20 years ago, I found that they have got a rural, call it a local entrepreneurship and development model that this committee might consider. And with regards to COP, what is it? Is it COP 29? I can't remember. Sorry.
It'll be COP 30 next year. Yeah.
COP 30, sorry, COP 30, Brazil. Climate change is quite an issue for all of us, be it local government, be it agriculture, a study tour, a joint study tour to Brazil will definitely be one of the areas that we as committee I do recommend. But I think both of them, they augur well for our issues that we need to address, both at local government level, quality in agriculture and entrepreneurship. And one thing about Ireland is that they have got quite a vast, big rural community with small town like Dublin, Limerick, and so forth. So I think we can really learn quite a great deal in terms of really understanding how to deal with the challenges of local economy and local agricultural issues, and also, getting young people, to participate meaningfully in agriculture and making sure that, we also have got agro-processing, taking the stuff from the farm gate to agro-processing before they go out of the country. So those are really my recommendation, is that both of them, I do believe they have got a strong appeal to our challenges, both on climate and local government. Climate obviously affecting our agriculture quite immensely, and obviously our rural parts of this country has been hit quite very hard with climate change. So I do recommend that colleagues, let's work towards those two areas. Thanks, Chair. I hope I have covered my part.
Honourable Masipa, for that recommendation. Do we have any other inputs on this aspect? As mentioned, we're not making a formal decision, but just to resolve that we would support either of those two possible proposals, and to look at it as a clustered visit. We have the recommendation from Honourable Masipa. We have no objections. No further inputs. Thank you very much. Mr. Kutsia, can I then just check, have you satisfied yourself that you have captured all of those solutions?
I'm all good, Chair. I'm all good. I will submit the draft minutes to you, just to ensure.
Thank you very much. And I know it's been a bit tricky, not only for yourself, I think for a few of the members. Honourable Shareholder was also coming on and off all the time. It seems to be a bit of wobbly internet in South Africa today, but we've managed to get through it. And thank you to all members for your diligence and your commitment. And we will see you on Thursday for the full sitting. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Nomsi.
Champion.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. Where is Candace and Shiraz? They were not in the meeting.
They were here earlier.
Earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right during the presentation. Oh, wait, I just want to talk to the chair quickly.
Okay.
Hello.
I know, so they call me.
Yes. I think Johan wanted to ask something. But now he's still on the phone with the chairperson. Are you busy now?
I'm just looking to start. The meeting end.